Hey everyone, welcome to Coach on Command. My name is Aaron Littleton, and I am the head coach of the Gymnastics Sports Center Storm, two-time AGA champion, and your host for this hour of excitement and wonder. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got a great show for you tonight, as always. So I've got some of my esteemed colleagues here with me, so we'll go down the line and we'll let them introduce themselves to you.
I'm Coach Kagan, and today's podcast is sponsored by My Ear.
I have no idea what that is, but I'm Coach Tracy, and I'm a disembodied voice.
You're very much like a specter over there. Yeah.
It's not very scary.
The ghost of the Gymnastics Sports Center. Fantastic.
Ooh.
All right, so we all know basically what we're trying to do in this sport, in gymnastics and parkour, all of that, is that we're trying to develop some consistency. So in gymnastics especially, it's not enough just to be able to compete a skill every now and again, 3 out of every 10 times. You've got to really be able to do it consistently. You maybe can get away with those things at the lower levels, but once you're ready for competition, it's go time. And you've trained this whole time to be able to do these skills, and you got to be able to do them almost, or at least as close to every time as you try to do it. And so 100% success rate is what we're going for. You know, they say if you shoot for the moon, you'll land amongst the stars, and that's what we try to do in gymnastics. So first question of the day, gentlemen, is what are some of the ways that you try to develop that consistency that we'd all like to see in your athletes on an everyday basis?
I start with repetition. I get as many reps in as possible with my students. I also make sure that they understand what they're doing, understand how to do it, and then I try and refine it as much as possible. Get them to have good form, get them to do everything right, and make it look nice.
Honestly, this is something that I will also say is a case-by-case basis, since not all students react the same. Most of the time, as Coach Kagan said, repetition is key, grinding it into them to where they do it right. But there's more than just that. Teaching them breathing techniques along the way, breathe in the nose, out the mouth, when to execute along every breath sometimes can be very helpful. I was coaching a student on a backflip earlier, and she was psyching herself out. So I told her, look, one jump before, swing your arms back. On the jump, swing your arms up for the set, and do it that way every time. It teaches your body, my arms are doing this motion, which means my body's about to go into a backflip. And it started to work for her. And she showed massive improvement over a 15-minute span.
Nice. And so for me, I think really, first and foremost, consistency of performance begin with consistency of habits. And so there was a saying that I heard early on in my career that you earn all of your trophies in practice, you just pick them up at the meet. And so I think that applies really more applies to more than just competition. Really, it's how you always go about your business. If you are in that mindset that, okay, everything that I do matters, and these are kids, we're trying to teach them, hey, don't just chuck your body through what you're doing. It's like there's a right way to do it. And I had to get on some of our lower level gymnasts earlier about it's like, okay, congratulations, you did the skill, but it's not very good. It's like, I mean, what is it that we're really trying to do here? And so I think it all starts with the way that you go about your business, the way you think about your business, and those habits, and getting yourself in the correct mindset to really feel like, okay, every rep that I'm doing matters. It doesn't matter if I'm in an empty gym or if I'm out at a competition in front of 500 people. Every rep matters, and it's all one step closer to getting me to where I want to be.
Mentality is a lot. If you go into something thinking, I'm not going to do this, I can't do this, then you're not going to do it.
Honestly, you can defeat yourself before you even step onto the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I talked with one young lady earlier before, especially, and she goes, I could see, and as a coach, if you've been around a while, you can kind of see somebody who's like in their own head about doing something. And she's like, just mannerisms are just very, almost sheepish, and I'm just like, hey, listen, you're ready to do this, and I know that we've talked in the past before, sometimes the body is ready before the mind. But it's like, yeah, you really do have to set that foundation of what you're going to be trying to do. And it all starts with a mindset. It all starts about the way that you think about your business, and that helps you go forward. So next question, Kagan, should you choose to accept. What are some ways that you can help develop consistency? And so we talked about other people. How are you going to develop consistency in your athletes? How do you develop consistency in yourself? Probably more from a coaching standpoint, but also you can speak to, if you want to, about a consistency in yourself as an athlete.
Well, really, for all three, for me, in my experience at least, all of it's the same. For me, it's reps. Now, for the coaching aspect of it, I have all of these great people that I work with that I can ask to help refine me and teach me better ways to keep my consistency.
I would say for myself, one thing that's probably the most important skill in parkour is a safety roll. You have to learn to bail out of something and land safely. And so what I did was initially I just practiced on the grass. It was all I had, but it was a lot softer than many other things.
Yeah.
But I slowly but surely moved myself to jumping off something higher and then higher. I actually used the bleachers at my high school and would just go up a step and jump off consistently higher and practice rolling that way. And once I felt like I was getting consistently decent rolls, I moved to something harder. I started landing on concrete and rolling, and you'll find out real quick if your roll's good or not whenever you try to do it on concrete.
Yeah.
As for my students, honestly, this is a very difficult question to answer. I find that while I try to remain consistent, I've also refined my coaching style as I've gotten more experienced in trying to teach. So while I try to remain consistent in how I instruct certain skills, I try to also remain open to the idea that what I'm telling them may not be the best way, and so doing more research and constantly trying to grow that. So I would say it cuts both ways with trying to be consistent. Sometimes it's better to not always be, I guess, stuck in your ways.
And so I think for me, and I'm going to talk, as always, from a coaching standpoint, it's a little bit the same for myself as it is with my students. It all starts with a mindset. And so what I've got to do to get myself ready to coach, and it's a little bit different if you're the head coach versus if you're just a coach, or you lesson plan, all that kind of stuff. But you really got to have your ducks in a row. And so it all starts with my mindset. When am I coming in to do the extra work I need to do? I need to put, I've got to figure out how my workout's going to go today. I've got to figure out, okay, these are the skills I'm trying to work on, what are the best progressions, all of that kind of stuff. And so that all takes time. And so really I try to lead from in front as far as that's concerned. And so it's like, okay, there's nobody coming to save me but me, and so if this workout is terrible, it is my fault. And so, it doesn't matter whatever external factors there are, it is my fault that the workout's not good. And I think that's a good place to start from when you're the head coach, or if you're the coach who's putting on whatever program for that day. And so the thing that I, lead from in front, number one. Number two is that, and you're going to hear me say this a lot because I think about it a lot, and that's that you can't expect the athletes to be anything that you're not. And so if you're trying to develop consistency, you've got to be consistent. You have got to be a staying presence in the middle of the workout. And so it's like you can't be like, oh, well, every Friday I'm taking off. I'll see you guys later. It's like you've got to be there. You've got to be a presence. And so you cannot expect them to be excited if you're not. You cannot expect them to be organized and be thoughtful and focused if you're not. If you're off sitting down, talking to the parents, yucking it up, whatever, they'll see that and they're like, oh, well, this really isn't that important, even if I thought it was important before this, but my coach really doesn't think it's important. And so you set the tone for them. And so for me, it's like I try to develop that consistency that I am always here as much as humanly can be expected. I do have to take a break in the summer to get away from all of you wonderful people and
I am
get
amazing, thank you.
And get my head back. Yeah, if you think so. And get my head back on straight. But yeah, any other time other than the time that I'm away, and I'm still doing stuff for the gym during that time. But I think that I am the measuring stick. I'm the standard bearer for this program, and anything that I want it to be, I have got to exude that to all the people around me, whether it be the coaches, whether it be the parents, whether it be the gymnasts, and that's how that's how I try to develop consistency in our own program.
Yeah. It's paying off.
We've got a couple championship banners, yes. I'd like a few more. To stay tuned for that.
17 more.
17 more. That's nice. Okay. But for now, last question of the night, okay? What is the most difficult hurdle for you to clear en route to trying to be consistent, to developing consistency? Like I said, with your gymnast, what gets in the way the most, do you think?
Really and truly, two things. I answered this question by accident earlier, but going into it, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I'll never be able to do it. You're not going to do it. You're going to end up putting up a wall for yourself with that mindset. And the other thing is really and truly just not caring. If you don't care enough about a sport, if you don't care enough about what you're doing, then it's going to be lackluster in all aspects, really.
I would have to say that's probably the most difficult hurdle, in my opinion, is boredom. It's really exciting to try the new skill. It's really exciting to land it for the first time. But after you've landed it once and you feel like you have some sort of consistency, even if it's not clean consistency, okay, I can land on my feet. And sometimes for parkour, that's good enough. In gymnastics, it's not. And in many of the more advanced skills, it's not. You have to have good technique, and then you can do variations from there to put in your own personal style. But once you've landed it, that golden sunshine, the feeling comes and goes, and landing it a second time doesn't necessarily rejuvenate that. So you become bored with the skill long before you've mastered it, because it's now been something that you've achieved, and there's no shining banner of whatever you want to call it to congratulate you in your own head after you've already landed it. So driving that skill to perfection and consistent perfection, I feel really is blocked by that boredom of already having completed it.
That's a great point, and I love that you guys ended up giving a different answer than I'm going to give. And so we talked about, that's very apropos that you mentioned that, Tracy, because we were just talking about diminishing returns of Kagan's jokes, also with happiness with landing skills. So, we'll have to edit that. Just kidding. So for me, the most difficult hurdle to clear, trying to develop consistency, is without a doubt emotion. And I think that you guys both gave great answers to it, and something that I hadn't considered. But for me, consistency is almost like you've almost got to teach them, especially in gymnastics, at least a little bit, to be like a robot. Like, you can't feel all the things. If you start feeling all the things, then you're going to realize that this sport is a little bit crazy, and what you're trying to do, is not, is not the easiest thing that you could be doing. And so if you let that in, it's like you just got to be like, look, here's the thing. I am going to do this skill. And you've got to be in that headspace, because if you're not, emotions, whether it be fear, frustration, sadness, anger, whatever your feeling du jour is, you really lose focus of what you're trying to do. And I think that, anytime you become emotional in this sport especially, it is a great disservice to you. And that's when you get hurt. You stop paying attention, you stop caring, like you said. And yeah, so emotion is definitely the biggest driver of that for me. We have arrived at, without a doubt, what is the greatest part of the show. Although, again, they are all great parts of the show. And that is the randomly strong opinion. I don't know if I go that far. The randomly strong opinion of the day. And that, of course, is the final segment of this podcast, where we tell you all of our crazy, insanely, passionately held beliefs about things that do not matter. And so this week, I'm going to kick it off. Tracy, you want to go first?
Okay.
And let us know.
I would argue, however, that mine does matter a tiny bit
Okay.
to most people.
Okay.
So ads are just a part of our life nowadays. You love them, you hate them. Either way, you have to deal with them.
This is a problem.
So yeah, this is a problem. But my problem is not that ads exist. Some ads can be good. Sometimes they show me things I don't know that I want because Google knows me better than I do. But the biggest problem is video game ads. I'll see an ad for a video game on my phone and I'll think, oh, that looks pretty good. But then you download it and the game is nothing like the ad.
And now they have the ads that were from the games that were from the ads. Yes, it's like a circular.
What is that all about? I cannot stand that. I think there is some kind of law now, but it did not come soon enough to waive my frustration and fury. But oh gosh, I don't know. I just cannot hit the 1-star review hard enough whenever I find something like that. Okay, rant over.
Tracy, as we have learned, is a very angry reviewer. All right, Kagan. What do you got? Disagreeing with me. That's number 1. Okay, go ahead.
I'm glad you beat me to it because I was literally going to say that. I actually have 2 this week. No matter what he says, I'm going to disagree with him. I started collecting Pokemon cards because of this absolutely amazing friend that I have. He took me to a card show a couple months ago, and it was great. And I waste my money on new things. But I learned about card grading, and it feels like the most useless thing ever. There's no reason why, first of all, a piece of paper should cost that much. And then second of all, somebody somewhere gets to decide that because you kept it in such good condition, you get to inflate the price like 500%. It's completely unnecessary. There is no point.
It doesn't just exist in the card world. I remember when Super Mario sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's ridiculous, okay?
That's unnecessary. Why do we need to be grading video games or cards? There's just nothing. It's not worth it.
I would argue it's worth it to someone, but definitely not to me.
Someone, yeah. Okay, don't get me wrong. If I happen to find a high-value card, I'm going to go get it graded, and I'm going to sell it at this insane price. But I'm not going to go buy a pre-graded card. It's unnecessary.
That sounds a little hypocritical, but
oh yeah, no. I'm a massive
I'm going to take advantage of the system that I hate.
I know, yes, right. And so we have a coach on command first, and that is that I'm going to agree with Kagan. So now I've got 2 because, yes, card grading, and so I don't just collect Pokemon cards in the middle of my midlife crisis. I also collect baseball cards, hockey cards, whatever, all of that. And so, yeah, it's grading is a big problem in the hobby, but I digress. Maybe I'll use that one for later.
Okay.
But mine, y'all are going to love this. There are all sorts of cheeses.
Okay.
Listen, I'm a fat guy, okay? There
There's
are
a
all
cheese wrapper in my car.
There are all sorts of cheeses. There is Gouda cheese. There is Swiss cheese. There is, pepper jack cheese is actually pretty fire. I'm going to give it that one. Most cheeses are delicious, okay? But they all pale in comparison to wrapper cheese, okay? Wrapper cheese is the greatest cheese that there. Are you kidding me?
No! No!
Wrapper cheese is fantastic. It's like you get yourself a Whataburger. I'm a huge fan of Whataburger, and so you get yourself a Whataburger. It's got the cheese that they've grilled on the patty, and some of it slips off and gets attached to the cheese, or gets attached to the wrapper, and that is the greatest cheese known to man.
No.
It is the nectar of life.
No. What? It's cold and it's hard. Like,
not necessarily. When do you eat it? Do you go for a 5-mile run after you? I get food to accomplish a goal.
Oh, I understand it. But like, if I go to a restaurant and go buy a hamburger, I guess it technically be a cheeseburger. If I go
it would be a cheeseburger.
If I go buy a cheeseburger and come home, the cheese is gonna be cold. That's on the wrapper. I don't want cold cheese. If I want a cold cheese, I just go to my fridge. Probably not long enough.
On his bike, it was a long time.
I can drive.
Because of this segment, I will now only refer to Aaron as the Big Cheese.
I'm good with it.
Biggest
So
Are you
there
Gouda
go.
with it?
Listen, I'm a culinary expert. Okay, I don't know if y'all know this about me.
I have never seen
I-
you cook a meal in your life.
No, I didn't say I knew how to cook. I said
Being a culinary expert means that you can cook.
I am an eating expert.
You are
And so
you
let
are a
me tell
food
you-
connoisseur.
Food connoisseur. Okay, fantastic. Which also is at least mildly adjacent to culinary expert. so, yes, trust me, wrapper cheese, the greatest cheese of all. And that'll do it for us. We thank you very much for tuning in. So make sure you stay tuned next for head-to-head unicorn jousting.
And have a flipping great day.
And don't forget to set. Take care.